Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, guys, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. And ladies, all three of you who watch the channel, I want you to get down there in the description box and verify this, that I'm telling the truth. But whenever you're going to issue an apology, guys, the one word you never, ever use in the apology is however. Because the minute you do that, the other side will quickly realize that you are not in fact apologizing, but you are rather trying to excuse your behavior or shift blame elsewhere. No bueno when you do that. Now, when you're a politician and it's time to apologize, it's even worse because, well, people like me are going to make a big deal out of it. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about Aberdeen Mayor Douglas Orr, who I, yes, will admit, had made a little bit of a pet project the last few days because, candidly, I'm really ticked off. What am I talking about? Well, we're going to tell you about that in a second. We're going to tell you about a chance for the mayor to make good on it, to apologize, to do what you tell your kids to do when you screw up. Own it and learn from it. But no, not this mayor. No, he knows better, and now, of course, he's playing the victim role. So today, Aberdeen, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about the most vile mayor in America is in Aberdeen, Washington. Okay, Dateline, July 13th. As we know, there was an assassination attempt against former President Trump during a campaign event in Pennsylvania. Now, news was out flying fast and furious, and everyone was speculating about what happened, but anybody who had actually watched any of the initial video recordings would have noted that, in fact, there had been an attempt on the president's life and it involved a firearm. Everybody except, of course, Aberdeen Mayor Douglas Orr. Now, I've done a bunch of things out there on the exosphere about this already, but I want you to know that within minutes of this event occurring, Aberdeen, your mayor, went to social media and stated the following: "Sick how politics have devolved. Ears bleed a lot. I hope they checked to make sure it wasn't just a self-inflicted scratch. The shooter is dead, so we'll never know if it was staged. Not buying it quite yet. Any way you look at it, it is a horrific act. Short of Biden dying, this is about the only thing that could happen that would artificially gain Trump sympathy votes. I hope I'm wrong, but because of his record of deceit, that's the first thing that came to mind." Okay, now, the first thing I want the good folks of Aberdeen to be aware of is that, candidly, I think you deserve better. Because anybody in a leadership position will encounter stressful and emotional situations and will need to make very cool and calculated decisions. And sometimes they might have to pause. They might even have to find themselves more emotionally regulated before they actually make good, sound policy decisions. And much is the same way if you're a public official when it comes to making public statements. And so when you do everything in the playbook exactly wrong, when you literally take the correct playbook and do the complete reverse in all fashion, what you get is Aberdeen Mayor Douglas Orr. Because you see, Mayor, although you may have certainly had those thoughts rush through your head, and that we cannot do anything about, only you can fix that problem. No, you immediately took to social media. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I've about fired off a few things on social media, only to find that the typing of it was very therapeutic, and now it was time to hit delete. So I'm assuming that the mayor had plenty of time to think about this very inflammatory and, quite frankly, ridiculous statement before he sent it off, right? But no. You see, because the only thing about as equally offensive as the content of the message is the spelling. And so, Aberdeen, either your mayor does not know how to use spell check, or you have elected an illiterate fool for mayor. And what it also tells me is that this mayor, well, he didn't proofread it. He didn't do anything except hit the send button. So what we have here is a person coming completely uncorked, completely unhinged, and firing away with the send button. He's a big keyboard warrior. Now, obviously, reaction was fast and furious. And yes, I will raise my hand, Mayor, that I was one of the people promoting this. And I will continue to do this until you do what I believe is the right thing, and that is resign from your office. Now, Mayor Orr, who was elected by a scant 4 votes, which means not really given a big, strong mandate, took to the Jason Ranch show to try to explain himself. And while he had an opportunity to just take ownership, just say, hey, I was emotional, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, that's fine. That would not make you in a very unique fraternity. There's a lot of people who have very strong negative feelings towards President Trump. I understand that. You could have owned it, and, it probably would have been water under the bridge, and candidly, I might have even let off you a little bit myself. But no. You did what I talked about at the very beginning of this video. You started with an apology, but then you had to add the word however. Because I've had a chance to go through the transcripts of the interview you did with Mr. Rance, and I want everybody, especially those in Aberdeen, to know what your mayor said. Now, after admitting that the only reason he even took the post down is he thought that people's reactions were getting a little bit out of hand, then the mayor began to double down on his crazy conspiracy theory. He was quoted as saying the following: I respectfully have the right to say what was my gut feeling. I don't believe that people have the right to intimidate me or disrespect me for my respectful comment. Well, you see, Mayor, if you believe this was a respectful comment, then your definition of what is respectful probably would encompass all of the responses that you got back as well. And as I have said, yes, the First Amendment absolutely, positively guarantees you to say whatever the hell you want. What the First Amendment does not guarantee is for you to be free from the consequences of what you have chosen to say. The whole way he did it just made it seem like it wasn't exactly real. I don't think they actually fired a gun at him, referring to President Trump. But oh, no, don't worry. The mayor was not done yet. It's still what my gut tells me, because I know Trump to be a television actor with a long, horrific trail of this man lying and putting on stunts. Okay, now understand that Mayor Orr's theory is that a firearm was used, but it was not used at President Trump, and that President Trump actually cut his own ear. This thing is completely staged. It's almost like a scene out of WWE, except for one important exception, which we'll talk about in a moment. Now, you sit there and go, well, okay, Bill, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's not like WWE, right? Well, I didn't get that idea. Aberdeen, listen to your mayor. I question the official story of a failed assassination attempt because through my life growing up, I've watched World Wrestling. I'm not making it up. We're linking up the story down below so that you can see that's true. And whenever you are trying to understand complex geopolitical issues, whenever you're trying to understand complex quasi-conspiracy theories that involve a failed assassination attempt on a presidential candidate, one should routinely defer to the expertise of Vince McMahon. Half the world thinks that they're really wrestlers, and sure, they're athletic and all that, but they get paid money for cutting themselves on the forehead or the ear or the top of the head, areas that bleed a lot with very little damage. They're acting like it's a bad thing that I would think such a thing. I only thought that because of the history of Trump lying and grandstanding and not being very honest. Orr also said that when he saw the video of Trump grabbing his ear after being shot, it didn't look genuine. Okay, so Aberdeen, I want you to understand that your mayor believes that somewhere in the government, people did use firearms at President Trump's rally, but they did not use firearms on President Trump, and that his wound was sustained when he himself cut himself, a la to what you would see somewhere in the WWE, okay? This is his theory, and it's a crazy theory, but I want you to understand how infuriating it is beyond the obvious, okay? Because what we do know with absolute certainty is that 50-year-old Corey Comparatori, a firefighter from Pennsylvania, lost his life that day as he tried to cover his family from stray bullets. And anybody who's seen the images of what happened to that gentleman knows that literally he was killed with a shot to the head by a high-powered rifle, which means that the Aberdeen mayor believes that there is a conspiracy out there in which President Trump faked an assassination attempt on his own life using government agents who then fired upon innocent, lawful citizens just sitting there enjoying democracy, and murdered a 50-year-old firefighter just to make this realistic. That Aberdeen is the theory that your mayor believes. Now, of course, Mayor Orr has done what people in his political circle do best, which is, when in doubt, play victim. And yes, Mayor, you are the victim. You're the victim of your own terrible choices. But apparently, and this was not known to me until I read the interview on Jason Rance's show, he has another theory as to why he's being victimized. I think they just didn't want me to be mayor in the first place. I'm gay, and that was very upsetting for them. Well, Mayor, I can assure you that if you go back and you take a look at all of the other social media posts that I've done, which I'll admit were very, very critical of you, and for good reason, I had no idea as to what your sexuality was. And to this day, I don't give two shits what your sexuality is. The question that we are posing on this channel is, are you fit to be the mayor of Aberdeen? And I don't think anybody in Aberdeen gives two who you decide you want to have romantic relationships with. But the question is do you adequately represent the people that you were elected to serve? And while there may be others in your community who share these same asinine, ridiculous theories, the likelihood that your views represent a majority of Aberdeen residents is incredibly remote. Listen, Mayor, you may be the first gay mayor of Aberdeen. You may be the first outward gay mayor of Aberdeen. You may be the gayest mayor in the history of Aberdeen, because none of that matters. What you are is the worst mayor in the history of Aberdeen, and that has nothing to do with your sexuality and everything to do with the language that you chose and how you chose to respond to this crisis. You should do yourself and you should do the folks of Aberdeen a huge favor and resign today. Listen, we're going to go ahead and link up everything that we relied upon in making this video down below so that you can geek out on it for yourself. Yes, we will also post the professional contact information for Mayor Orr, so that if you decide you want to weigh in on it politely and professionally, you may do so. The only way you should be communicating with Mayor Orr is through official channels. There should be no other outreach. We are better than that. You may have questions about this or anything else related to all of the crazy crap that's going on in the world right now. If you need to get a hold of Washington Gun Line, you don't have our contact information, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. Maybe you got an idea for a video. If you do, click on that link right there. Hey, some of the best ideas we came up with, candidly, we didn't come up with. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time at this channel, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.